Welcome back to the story of Anirudh Das, who has now changed his name to Sunil Ganguly. It's the year 2015, 8 years since Anirudh killed his wife Pallavi and escaped from Kolkata. With his changed identity as Sunil Ganguly, Anirudh has married his colleague Shipra Gupta, and they are now parents to a daughter and son. Presenting his mother as the friend of an aunt who's no more, Anirudh has arranged for his mother to see Shipra and her grandchildren in an ashram in Puri. Anirudh, under his changed identity, has also managed to see his father. Anirudh's father Somnath has passed away. His mother wants him to come to Kolkata and perform his father's final rituals, his duty as a son. Anirudh has left his home in Mumbai for the airport. He is on way to Kolkata. Hi and a very warm welcome. You are listening to Crime Tales. I am Subbu. Case 2, Killer on the Run. Amitabh has placed his men outside Geeta's house and the crematorium in plain clothes in a bid to nab Anirudh. At the crematorium, one of Inspector Amitabh's men, observing Geeta very carefully, relays a message to Amitabh that her demeanor suggests strongly that Anirudh will turn up at the crematorium. A cab arrives at the crematorium entrance, and all the cops in plain clothes get alert. It could be Anirudh. They are wrong. It's not Anirudh. It is someone else, maybe a distant relative. Finally, it's a relative who does the final rites for Somnath. Geeta stands watching quietly. There is no sign of Anirudh. The cops at the crematorium wait until everyone leaves, but Anirudh doesn't turn up. Amitabh is disappointed. More than him, it's Devnath who crumbles. He feels like it's all lost now. Amitabh reassures him that his men will keep a watch on Geeta's home, though he doubts possibilities of Anirudh now turning up. Back in Mumbai, Anirudh, having reached the airport, suddenly develops cold feet. A sense of fear runs through him. What if he reaches Kolkata and is caught there? What if, unknown to his mother, the police has been keeping a watch on his mother? Anirudh doesn't check in. He cancels going to Kolkata. Amitabh doesn't give up this time. He gets the cyber cell to tap Anirudh's mother Geeta's phone. He has a feeling that come what may, with his father's death, there ought to be a communication between Geeta and Anirudh. He gets her call records too, hoping to find that one suspicious call. That would have been the call she made to Anirudh. People are positioned around Geeta's house, watchful eyes on her and her movements. While Amitabh, a cop, is tying up every end to fish out Anirudh. On the other hand, Anirudh, having thought like a criminal all these years of his run from the law, reads every single move the cops would be making to reach him. Through the other phone that Anirudh and Geeta use for communication, he gets his mother to be mindful of giving away his identity and whereabouts. I'll be stopping all communications now, Ma. I don't know what the cops are up to, but I can't take chances. With Baba's death, there could be every possibility that they would be hoping you would get in touch with me. So restrict your movements to just your temple visit. I will not call you for some time, and you also don't try to reach me. Switch off the other phone. Be quiet for some time. Anirudh readies his mother to every possible situation of himself being detected. Amitabh continues tracking Geeta's phone and the watch on her. A team travels to Varanasi where Geeta reaches for immersing her husband's ashes. And yet no Anirudh turning up there. Anirudh, once again under the guise of work trip, travels to Nashik and does the 13th day ceremony for his father at the banks of Godavari river. Shipra and the kids have no idea of things going on in Anirudh's life. Shipra does notice that Anirudh is unduly quiet on occasions, but his explanation about stress at work pacifies her. In Kolkata, Amitabh finally has no choice but to call off the renewed investigation into the case. The manpower to continue on an already gone cold case is not at his disposal. Reconciling to fate is not an option for Devnath. But there is very little he can do to change the reality. After a few months, Geeta restarts her trips to Puri. Shipra and her kids travel from Mumbai, and things are back to how they were before Somnath's passing away. The charade continues. Anirudh's life moves on. The kids are growing. Anirudh is also progressing at his work front. Shipra has also restarted her career. Everything is hunky-dory in Anirudh's life. The Pallavi murder case gathers dust amongst the several other files of unsolved cases. It would lie there for years, until the time a court order is passed to bring up all the unsolved cases and file a closure report, where the investigation sees absolutely no possibility of any further movement in the case. It's now the year 2023. Inspector Megha Banerjee, 35 years old, is tasked with the job of looking into all the unsolved cases and file the closure report. As she goes through the several unsolved cases, the Pallavi murder case lands on her table. Megha remembers the case. She was 19 years old, a second-year college student in 2007 when the crime happened. She had read a lot about it in the papers. She had worked in Amitabh's department in the year 2013 and remembers that it was the case Amitabh would talk about very often, a failure he could never reconcile with. Megha doesn't have the heart to close the case until she has spoken to Amitabh about it. Amitabh is now a year away from retirement. Megha comes to meet him and asks him what should she do. I have this Pallavi case on my table, sir. I wanted to talk to you before I file a closure report on the case. I know this case has been very close to you, sir. Amitabh has a wry smile as he wonders what should he say. Close it, Megha. I have lived with it long. I don't know what more can I really do in the case. Megha can sense the despondency in Amitabh's voice. Do you want me to give it a try one last time, sir? Amitabh looks at the file and then looks up at Megha. Try if you want to, Megha. It's all there in the file. All the attempts I made. I don't know what new line of investigation you would adopt. But then a lot has changed over the years. Maybe you might look into or see things differently than I did. You know what, Megha? For all these years, since 2007, the one question that has kept bothering me is, how is it that this Anirudh, if he's alive, has managed to live? Where did he go? How did he escape all our intelligence networks? Megha picks up the file. I learned a lot from you about investigations. I will give this one more try. It would be an honor for me, sir, if I am able to achieve a breakthrough in a cold case where you did everything and yet could not find the breakthrough. Amitabh smiles. All the best, Megha. I hope and pray that you succeed where I failed. 16 years after Pallavi was killed that afternoon in an apartment at Park Street, Kolkata, her case was being reopened by Inspector Megha Banerjee. Megha assembled a small team. They went over the case papers thoroughly, scrutinizing every little detail about the case. Times had changed. In today's times, almost every single person in the country has a digital presence. Not just the social media, but officially too, one's background and identity needed thorough verification for every other purpose. The team first tracked every single person who was associated with the case. Riddhi, the woman for whom Anirudh had killed Pallavi, was easy to trace. She had settled down in Chennai with her husband and was now a mother to 2 children. Would Anirudh have made any contact with her all these years? After all, she was his first love and it's for her he had killed Pallavi. Riddhi's tracking leads to a dead end. Riddhi is shocked that after all these years, the police still hasn't been able to find Anirudh. She has moved far, far away from the happenings of 16 years back. Devnath, Pallavi's father, Megha finds is still alive, still in the hope that his daughter's killer would be caught. He no longer comes asking for the case to be reopened, but his bond with Amitabh has only grown stronger. Amitabh is still the regular visitor at Devnath's house on every anniversary of Pallavi. All online data for Aadhaar and PAN card are scanned. That's one area that Amitabh had missed and could not have really gone further into it, since they were all at a very nascent stage when the case happened. But there is no luck on that front too. The team finds no Anirudh Das on the database, at least not the Anirudh Das they are looking for. What is left is the one single source that was tracked again and again in the many intervening years. Geeta Das, Anirudh's mother. But all the previous tracking had never really given any input on Anirudh being in touch with her. Megha ponders over the case. She wonders what if Anirudh was in touch with his mother, but at the same time his mother also played along just like Anirudh, keeping the communications absolutely shrouded from any exposure. Megha, using all her skills, puts herself in Anirudh's shoes and starts working out theories as to what he would do after escaping from Kolkata. She knows he had called Riddhi from Patna after he escaped. Where would he go from here? I would naturally run away very far, where no one would know me. I had about ₹1,00,000 with me, which I had withdrawn from the bank before I escaped from Kolkata. So what would I do now? I would reach a place where no one recognizes me, where none of the police networks can reach me. And then, I would need to set up my life again, seek work, find a job. So I would obviously lie about my background. I would maybe take up odd jobs until I'm able to sustain myself. IT background, that's my background. She jots down the IT hubs that were prominent in the year 2007, the ones that came up in all these years. I would have got a job in any of these places. Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Gurgaon, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, anywhere. I would have certificates, everything at hand. I would hide where I worked before because any background check could reveal that I am a wanted criminal. So I would be careful. I could start as a fresher, maybe then gather experience and move on. Megha checks Anirudh's work profile until he committed the crime and finds that he was good at his work. So now, having succeeded in evading being caught, would I contact my family? Yes, I would. Why? Because my family would know about the investigations, know how it is progressing. I would definitely be in touch with my family. But it was never detected. Megha reads in the case papers. She gets back to thinking and then strikes upon a possibility. What if I'm communicating with my mother on another phone? A number that was never with the police, never coming under the radar of investigation. Megha's team feels that if this communication was happening, then it could still be happening. But then it was not ever detected in 16 years. Okay, so then we focus on that direction. There has been outward surveillance on the mother's movements. There is no detection of any second phone number that she would have been using. Let's find out if she indeed is using any other number. Megha concludes. The watch on Geeta Das, Anirudh's mother, once again only yields to her fixed movements, going to temple, going to the market. One other thing that is observed is a maid working at her house. Megha's team gets to one of their informers, a woman. This woman is sent into Geeta's house as a replacement for her maid. The regular maid at Geeta's house is taken into confidence and used to send this informer woman into Geeta's house. The informer woman's task is to find if Geeta uses another phone. Track that phone, get the number. But a few days into work, the informer hasn't been able to track any phone. What Megha and her team has no idea about is that post his father's death in 2015, Anirudh had completely eliminated the second phone number he was using with his mother. With Shipra having got close to Geeta, knowing her as Savita auntie, a friend of Anirudh's aunt, Anirudh had got Shipra and Geeta communicating directly. He would also speak to his mother from Shipra's phone. The second phone number was not there anymore. But the one thing that Amitabh and his team probably didn't stay long enough to find or didn't explore, Megha's team discovers that. The informer woman informs Megha that Geeta is planning a trip to Puri. Now this sets Megha thinking. What exactly is Geeta going to Puri for? Megha and a fellow officer follow Geeta on a trip to Puri. They find the ashram where Geeta checks into at Puri. From the ashram, they learn that Geeta has been a regular visitor for over years and is a very religious person. Have we again reached a dead end? Wonders Megha. But at this ashram, keeping a watch on Geeta, Megha discovers the presence of Shipra Ganguly and her two children. She very carefully observes the interactions between Geeta and Shipra, between Geeta and the children. Who is this Shipra Ganguly? From the ashram registers, Megha finds that Shipra is a regular visitor at the ashram. Almost visits at the same time when Geeta too comes to the ashram in Puri. Digging further into how exactly is Geeta connected to Shipra and her family, what Megha and her team learn is that they are just acquaintances, and that is what everyone knows. Not any relation, but closely acquainted. The team back in Kolkata also finds Shipra in Geeta's call records and everything seems normal. A check into Shipra's background brings out nothing seemingly suspicious. Her husband Sunil Ganguly, the family is from Mumbai. Husband in the IT sector. Everything is in place. So near, yet so far. Sunil Ganguly doesn't ring any bell of suspicion in Megha's mind. Despite trying to think every move Anirudh could have made, Megha falls short of that one single act of Anirudh having changed his identity. That escapes Megha. And with the least idea that Anirudh could have become Sunil Ganguly, what escapes Megha's investigation is the one crucial point of cross-checking the physical appearance, Anirudh's photo matching with that of Sunil Ganguly. Megha's reopening of the Pallavi murder case has now gone into 4 months of revisiting and reviewing, yet no breakthrough. Megha is feeling just as frustrated as Amitabh felt all these years. Megha comes back to Amitabh with the file, putting down her findings in the last 4 months, and with a sign of resignation in her voice, states that she also couldn't get any further. Maybe he's really no more. I was so desperate to find him, I couldn't, sir. Amitabh understands Megha's disappointment. I completely empathize with you, Megha. I think, leave it at this point. There will be many other cases you will get that will offer you more challenges. I'll file the closure report. Leave it here and move on. Megha leaves, a bit sad. Amitabh picks up the file, goes through Megha's findings in her 4 months of investigation, and then puts it aside. That seemed to be the end of road for the Pallavi murder case. With a closure report filed, it would become a case that would never again find any opening. Never again any attempt to find the culprit Anirudh Das. Unless something really drastic is brought forth in the case by someone. But who would come forth and present anything at any point of time in the future? It all looks destined that Anirudh Das would continue his life as Sunil Ganguly with his wife Shipra and children, with his mother continuing to play her role as his fictitious dead aunt's friend. Who knows? Maybe years later, if ever his conscience starts to prick him, if ever he faces a strong urge to tell the truth, if ever he feels the guilt, if ever he is tired of his fake identity, he decides to tell his wife and children the truth about himself. Too many ifs. Anirudh Das in Mumbai was unaware of the reopening of the Pallavi murder case that had happened. He was not living in fear anymore. He had got himself thick into the skin of Sunil Ganguly, his fake identity. In Kolkata, Amitabh driving to his office, this was the day he was going to sign and send the Pallavi murder case for closure. It was weighing on him heavily. He opened the file for putting in his final remarks and signing, when he once again went through Megha's findings. He looked at the photos of Shipra and her children. The report that Megha had made was that the interactions of Geeta, Anirudh's mother, and Shipra looked normal. Found that they had met several years back at the ashram. Shipra also regularly featured in Geeta's call records. Something strikes Amitabh's mind. He goes back to the report, reads it again. It says that Geeta and Shipra met sometime 10 years back at the Puri ashram. Amitabh goes over the call records of Geeta again, where Shipra's phone number is marked. There is something uncanny Amitabh has found. He calls up one of his colleagues who had been there on the case right from 2007. Even in 2015 had coordinated the watch at the crematorium and Geeta's house when Anirudh's father had died. Did this woman Shipra Ganguly come for the cremation of Geeta's husband? Asks Amitabh to his colleague. The colleague looks over the photo and states that he did not see her at the cremation. Amitabh calls up Megha and the technical expert in her team. They go over Shipra's profile on the social media. They find a lot of photos of Shipra and her children. The technical expert scanning the social media page of Shipra states that a social media account was made in the year 2006. Megha asks Amitabh what exactly is he hinting at. I was wondering if she was so close to this Geeta, Anirudh's mother. Why didn't she turn up at Geeta's husband's death? I was checking Geeta's call records from 2015. This Shipra doesn't feature there. She starts featuring in Geeta's call records only after 2015. While in your report from the Puri ashram, I find that this Shipra and Geeta are regular at the ashram since 2013. Replies Amitabh. Megha gets what Amitabh is hinting at. You're right, sir. Is there something we should look further into the Shipra Ganguly? I just chanced upon this, Megha. What I was actually thinking was, should this Shipra be spoken to? What if she does know about Anirudh? Even if that he's no more? But then, the other thing I find really strange now is that a social media profile has only and only her photos and her children's. Her husband is missing. Her husband is Sunil Ganguly, sir. They live in Mumbai. We inquired about that. Replies Megha. I have the Shipra's phone number, sir. Should I call her? Megha asks. Amitabh doesn't reply. There is something going on in his mind. Mumbai, November 2023. Amitabh and Megha land in Mumbai. It's a Sunday. They have decided they will talk to Shipra face to face. They are traveling to her house. They had no idea what they were going to strike upon. They are at Shipra's doorstep with the idea of asking Shipra if she knew Anirudh Das by any chance. The door was opened by Anirudh Das. Amitabh was just going to introduce himself when he stopped, looking at Anirudh. Anirudh too was looking at Amitabh, quite stunned and speechless. 16 years had passed. Anirudh's hairline had receded. He was sporting a French beard now. Amitabh too had grown old. A memory flashes for both of them. Karma has tracked the address. Megha too looks on stupefied. The Anirudh Das he was looking for 16 years was here, right in front of Amitabh. Shipra could not believe what she just heard from her husband. The children too were in shock. It all looked very surreal. Are you faking all this, Sunil? Asked a shocked Shipra. She couldn't grasp that the Sunil Ganguly, his background, the friend of his aunt, was actually the one he was faking for 15 years of her life. The first call that Amitabh made after arresting Anirudh and arranging for him to be taken to Kolkata was to Devnath. We have caught him, Devnath. We have caught the killer of Pallavi. Devnath couldn't react at all. He just quietly walked up to the photo of Pallavi and kept looking at it, tears rolling down his cheeks. Indeed, what goes around comes around. Karma didn't lose the address. It took a long time, but then it did find its peculiar way of not letting a man escape the consequences of his act, of the wrong he had done. Finally, after 16 years, the Pallavi murder case would come to trial, the culprit facing the law. See you again next week with another story, another mystery. Bye for now.